Hey everyone, Airball here, and today we're taking on day 2 of the Alchemy Arena Open. Yesterday we took blue-white to a 7-2 finish, and today we're taking good old Esperone into day 2. Controlled strategies seem to have adapted to the meta and are pretty good at taking on all the other relevant threats. So generally, control is pretty bad early in a format when you don't know which answers that you'll need, as opposed to having a proactive plan that's pretty consistent from game to game. But now that the Alchemy's been around for a while and the proactive decks haven't really gotten any new tools, and we've seen which ones are popular and which ones aren't, we've been able to include the correct answers this time around. And based on my run yesterday, these control strategies have come to dominate Alchemy. I think that some sort of control deck based around Key to the Archive is going to be the best possible thing that you can run. And this is our crack at it today. So this is Arnie Huschenbeth's basically blue-white control splash black deck. So it's got your heavy hitters that you've come to know and love. You've got 3 copies of Lear, which is pretty good against the creature decks, and it plays well with 4 copies of Consider. So the Hullbreaker Horror, Lear, and Consider Fading Hope are a pretty nice team. All of these want cheap spells that you're going to be able to recast over and over again from your graveyard for value. If you land Hullbreaker Horror against a mid-range deck, then that can just spell the end of the game. If you're playing against dragons, then you can, no matter how discounted they are, you can keep bouncing them to their hand over and over again during combat and never take damage for the rest of the game. So that's a pretty valuable strategy to have access to. We also want to be able to slam the Hullbreaker Horrors against threats, against control decks as well. We need some way to make the opponent blink. Hullbreaker Horror being a flash speed threat that's uncounterable, also happens to dodge a lot of removal in the format as well. So one of the most popular decks right now is Izzet. Izzet has a pretty tough time killing outright a toughness creature. And it also, importantly, lines up well against Hall of the Storm Giants, which is a 7/7, the 7/8. Even just the threat of a 7/8 can make it so your opponent doesn't feel they're able to attack with their 7/7. So holding up mana can keep you alive even when you don't have the Lobster in hand. But obviously the main thrust of the deck is Teferi and Key to the Archive. So remember Unexpected Windfall in Standard? It's pretty similar to this card, right? You discard a card and get 2 mana ramp, and we saw how powerful that could be. Well, now you get that 2 mana, except it's persistent, and you get a super powerful card from this card's spellbook. So Approach to the Second Sun, Day of Judgment, Time Warp, Counterspell. The strength of this card is in its spellbook. These cards are mostly very good. Sometimes you get some duds, like Bolt is not great. Claim the Firstborn is one that you almost never want to see. But most of the cards in this card's spellbook are outstanding. And being able to choose, having access to a Wrath most of the time whenever you cast this spell, especially if you can untap it with Teferi and cast the 4 mana Wrath in the same turn, makes this card filthy. It also lets us ramp. So we have 4 mana on turn 4. You play this. We have 6 mana, and then you'll play your land, and you'll have 7 mana on turn 5, which unlocks Hullbreaker Horror if you want that. It unlocks Memory Deluge from the bin, and it makes it so that you have multiple divide by zeros, being able to pay for tax effects and stuff like that. And don't sleep on Divine Purge. This card was an absolute house for me yesterday. It got me to it got my 7th win pretty handily against a Gruul aggro deck. This is basically Shadow's Verdict on steroids. The only difference is that they're able to replay these cards later. So you can exile any artifacts and creatures with mana value 3 or less. So this hits treasures. This hits the Dragon Orb. This hits most of the creatures in the Gruul and green decks. And it takes away haste, importantly, as well. So if those cards are hasty, they come back into play, they're tapped. So they can't attack that turn anyway. So that's pretty sweet. It does mean that you can't just do the typical blue-white control strategy of casting a bunch of board wipes and eventually winning the game with just your lands, because it doesn't take away material. Your opponent will eventually gain the mana advantage to replay these cards. So this is more of a buy time card, but it buys a ton. And this deck kind of has one of the best late games in the format with the Hullbreaker Horror and the mana from Key to the Archive. So the main reason we're splashing black is for 4 copies of Vanishing Verse, which I have found to be middling in the format, but Arnie has not. I find it doesn't hit enough. A lot of the Gruul creatures that you want to hit are multicolored. So Arlen doesn't die to Vanishing Verse. Tovalar doesn't die to Vanishing Verse. It does hit almost everything in dragons, so if you're looking for an anti-dragon deck control deck, this is probably the one. It doesn't hit Teferi. It doesn't hit Celestis. It doesn't hit Key to the Archive. It's really... I found this card lacking. But Arnie likes the full 4 copies, so we're going to go with that. And mostly the black splash is for the control mirror, where Esper probably has the advantage over raw blue-white. So 2 copies of Duress, obviously, sideboard staple. 2 copies of Go Blank, which are pretty good against the Izzet decks that are relying on Leer and Galvanic Iteration. And we also have 2 copies of Infernal Grasp, which is pretty good against any creature deck. Generally, this deck is pretty good at gaining life. Teferi, plussing every turn is 2 life per turn. You don't notice the two damage to face too much here, and this is just a better Doomblade if you don't care about the life loss. We also have 1 copy of Fracture, which is kind of cool. I think if I was building the deck from by hand, I would probably have more Fractures and fewer Vanishing Verses just for this format, because being able to deal with enemy Teferis, enemy Keys, and enemy like Sanguine Bloodstrokes or Sanguine Brushstrokes is pretty important, and Fracture hits all of those at instant speed for 2 mana. So I kind of like this card. I'm interested to see how it performs going forward. And I would also like more than 1 copy of Test of Talents. Sunset Revelry will be interesting. It's not great against dragons, but it is good against every creature deck that has to attack you on the ground. So if we're hoping to run into those as well. So yeah, that's the deck tech. I have a confession. I am recording this from the future. I already know how it goes. But I will ask you guys right now, before you get into the main body of the video, to let me know what you think of these videos. Let me know if you think there's anything I can do better. I'm open to comments. I'm open to whatever you guys want to tell me. I know I can be doing this better. I know that I'm pretty new to this, and I would like to hear your guys' thoughts. So that's it for me. Enjoy the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Later. Okay, on the play with the combo. Life is good. Probably down to get this in play, naming blue. We can hold up Dwari Disruption on 2 and be able to play the Marsh on 3 untapped. Opponent on Shipwreck Marsh, so probably some kind of mirror. Do I want to hold up Dwari Disruption? I don't think they're going to play anything on their turn. I think I'm fine slamming this, and if they counter it, then that's 1 less thing they can use to counter the Key to the Archive. Having drawn so many lands, I think I am fine exiling the Dwari Disruption to hit a guaranteed spell, because our next turn is going to be to tap out for Key, unless we hit Divide by 0. Do I want to exile them from the deck as well? Probably. This also resolved super quickly. Consider is, not the strongest play, but it is something that we can play on the same turn as Teferi. And it is a 1 mana spell for when we eventually find Hullbreaker Horror. So opponent showed weakness. They played this land tapped on turn 3. It means no Divide by 0. They had no interaction for the unexpected conversion last turn. We're more than happy, I think, to get the Key resolved. Oh, they have something this time. Stroke. Okay, that came off the top. That's a little unfortunate. Now they might get their own Key. Duress, yeah. So it looks like they came pre-boarded for the mirror. We are not. We are more teched towards the creature decks. They take Teferi, and now they know about the Divide by 0. Land and go. So we can slam Leer with no value here. I think it's better to just play this tapped. Scry, consider, divide by 0, good stuff. What do we want? We have 3 blue, probably want another white. Yeah, I'll take that. So I don't even think we consider here. I think knowing that we have the Hull Breaker coming, we'll try to hold on to it as much as we can. We're going to reach Hullbreaker mana first. We can try to slam Leer. It's Leer with no real value off the bat. Can we get super punished? Yeah, we can, right? Like they could have a hell of a turn if they counter Leer here. So we'll hold off. I will consider, though. I do want to hit my land drop. That's not great. We do hit our land. So we can slam the lobster. He probably gets divided by 0, but that's about the worst that can happen. And we can just keep doing that over and over again with our own interaction available. So hopefully we'll be able to have it stick. They're attacking. That's so good for us. What a blowout. That's pretty good. We've got Consider and Valorous Stance to protect the board. They only have 1 extra black available. They haven't made their land drop this turn. If they play black, if we bounce all this, they play Swamp another Vanishing Verse, then we're kind of sad. But it does have to be exactly that sequence of cards. And even if they manage to do that, we still have Leer. How much mana? We have 8, which is enough for Divide by 0 Valorous Stance. They've shown they don't have Divide by 0. I think I'm fine casting this. And we're going to get... Oh, wow. Yeah, we are going to get a ton of value off of these crappy Divine Purges here. Yeah. That's pretty good. Your go. Nice. Okay. Got there. Game one. So we have a sideboard guide for this. I don't see any reason to deviate from it. We have the two duresses come in. We have the two go blanks. We have the strokes, test of talents, and fracture is also pretty good. Nice that this card's finally seeing some play. And out come the fading hopes and all the divine purges, which makes a whole lot of sense. And a copy of Vanishing Verse, because it's not that good in the matchup. This feels pretty good. I'm happy with this. Okay, on the draw with handful of counter magic. I'm more than happy to keep this, and we're going to play the Jwari Disruption tapped on one. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not anymore. We don't have to make this decision now. We have a bunch of 2 mana counter spells. We'll hold it up. If they give us, if we draw lands, then we can spend the disruption on it. If they don't, then if we don't, then we can play it as a land on turn 3. Let's see what they do. They are color screwed a little bit here. Not anymore. Let's see what they do. Yeah, I'm happy to just kill that on the spot. That's a pretty good one. And I guess I'll put this down on black on the off chance that they play something that we can Vanishing Verse, although I'm not sure what that would be. Misses a land drop. We love that. We'll play this on blue, and I think we'll take the scry. Good scry. Duress. Duress is pretty annoying here. So now if we test of talents and they divide by 0 the test, then they get to duress it and get the test of talents value. But our hand gets super bad if this just happens. All right. We're not disdainful stroking anything this turn anyway. They're on 3 mana. They divide by 0, they're on duress. Okay. We draw duress. That's pretty good. Lobster, key, It's probably just duress here, right? They don't have any counter magic of their own. We want our Disdainful Stroke to hit that key because there's not much else going on for those strokes. Definitely need some help. Mm. Land is good and all, but I guess we do have the Vanishing Verse for the Lobster. We're more likely to draw land than anything else. We do have 2 answers to the Lobster in hand as well. So like their most likely play here is probably duress try to jam the key. No, they just play the Sciences, so they missed their land drop. And we're hoping to like hit a card draw spell here or something. Our own key is pretty good. We are not in danger of... If we slam this, then they get to slam their own key. But this just gets worse and worse the longer we sit on it because they'll get to slam the Lobster. I think this is fine. And hopefully they didn't draw like Divide by 0. They drew something. Could be like Jwari Disruption. Counterspell's a good one. Or should have considered Putrefy to hit their key. Yeah, that would have been much better. Because they're really likely to jam theirs, yeah. So we're hoping they get like Itchy Trigger Finger and try to jam this Hullbreaker at the first opportunity. Because we do have a number of answers. They have Fading Hope for their own Hullbreaker. They have 3, 6, 7, 8 mana, so they have the Hullbreaker Horror and the ability to hold up Fading Hope. They drew and pitched Growth Spiral. Okay, so we have how much mana? We have 5, 6, 7, which is enough for this plus our 2 pieces of interaction for the Lobster. They pitch Fading Hope, Jwari Disruption. They keep their own Infernal Grasp. Okay. So this will touch the board. And we will Vanishing Verse it? Yeah. Which one's better? Vanishing Verse eventually hits like a Hall of the Storm Giant, though so does Valorous Stance. Valorous Stance can protect our own Lobster. Vanishing Verse can't. Yeah, okay. And this also uses our black mana. Nice. I'll take another Go Blank. I'll take my 2 for 1. Oop. Oh, we got another Lobster. Wow, their draw steps were really good. That's pretty good too. Do I want to exile the Valorous Stance? So most of these decks are only running 2 lobsters. I'm not sure we need another. I think I'm down to exile this. We may have dealt with all their lobsters at this point. Okay. And there was no resistance there, so I'm fine just jamming to Fairy. Untapping the key. And here we go. Down to anticipate with Teferi here, I think. I mean, we can't go wrong with this, right? Yeah, I don't even want to bounce their key because I don't want to let them get a draw out of the spell book. Go blank. Um... This is probably divide by 0. Fetching. Sciences, I guess. Just with the intention of discarding it to when they recast the Go Blank. And I'll pitch the Vanishing Verse as well. And this is fine with me. We can bounce our own key. Isn't the worst. That's pretty good. We're going to be able to cast that Time Warp. Make sure we tap right. And they're pretty unlikely to have a Wrath effect in their deck. And hopefully we can just shut them down for the rest of the game from here. Well, they drew something. So we're swinging for 9 next turn. Yeah, I think this is fine. I'm not even planning on using my mana, so we'll tap that, and sure. Nice. Got there. Definitely felt like we got gifted game 1. Attacking that Hall of the Storm Giants into our 7 open mana for Lobster was ambitious of the opponent, to say the least. But game 2, I think, was pretty clinical. All right, on to the next one. Okay, on the draw with a unkeepable hand, unfortunately. We don't have blue. This hand doesn't really do much. We'll send this one back. Keep this, I think, and we'll put back the Vanishing Verse. Yeah. It's the most situational card. Jwari Disruption is good in every matchup. Alright, Shatter Skull. So this still could be a number of things. We'll play this on white. And that will give us the option to either hold up Vanishing Verse next turn or Jwari Disruption, depending on what we think is more important. Den of the Bugbear means we're up against some sort of aggressive deck. I still think, now that we've drawn another land, I still think I want to get value out of this disruption. So I think I want to disrupt their turn 3 play, Vanishing Verse their turn 4 play, and then have Key to the Archive available. Yeah. Love it. That's a pretty good draw too. Now we have our double blue for Memory Deluge. Moonveil Regent. Okay, so this is like mono red. Vanishing Versing this just seems so medium. I think we have to play Key here. And let them get in. Ooh, D-Spark is good. But... yeah, D-Spark is really good, actually. We'll keep that. And I think I'll pitch the Swamp. We fear Town Razor Tyrant a little bit. Goldspan Dragon, yep. Down to 12. Divine Purge, not very good. How much black do we have? We have 2 black, yeah. So we are definitely going to... D-Spark the Goldspan Dragon. And I am down to wait and see what happens with this Moonveil Regent, I think. Because we only have 5 mana, not enough for any 2 spells. I want to keep the Vanishing Verse because it can target the Den if they activate it. But I also, if they don't do anything, would like to cast Memory Deluge. Orb, sure. So Divine Purge will actually hit the Orb, which is nice. I'll also hit the Treasure. So I don't think we have time here. I think we need to kill the Goldspan Dragon. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to hit the Moonveil Regent because it's a source of card advantage and the Goldspan Dragon is not. So we can try Memory Deluging into a land. If we find it, then we can Divine Purge, hold up Fading Hope. Den of the Bugbear is coming. Yeah, maybe we do need to do better. Okay. All right. And we have Fading Hope available for Den, which is probably what they will replay here. They play their land pre-combat. We like that. If they activate the Den, that is, because then they can't replay it. Goldspan Dragon, that's rough. I think we do this now. Oh, no, we can't do it now. Shoot. thinking it was like an unsubstantiated effect. Yeah, this is tough. I get to draw a card here. We're probably actually supposed to bounce the one that doesn't have haste. Yeah, I think that's true. And now they'll have the mana to replay it, but that gives us some outs to draw into a board wipe. Although we will be dying to the den as well. So we definitely need a lot to go right here. Yeah, they replay this. That makes sense. So we have 9 mana available. It probably needs to be like consider into divide by 0 or something. Lear. Lear with 3 mana available, which lets us Fading Hope Vanishing Verse. See if we can untap. I mean, this is the first creature we've played all game. There's a decent chance that they have like a removal spell stranded in their hand. Maybe I'm supposed to use the Vanishing Verse there. It's close, right? Like, yeah, this is mono red. I was thinking they could have like a this. They could be like Boros and have the Adult Dragon, which Vanishing Verse would not hit, but D-Spark would. But I mean, the Den of the Bugbear is what we have to play around here. They didn't power it up. Okay. All right. So we need to find a way to kill a bunch of stuff. Board wipe probably will not do it. All right. We'll start with consider. Okay. Not great draws. I need to find like Valorous Stance or something. I want to cast it for 4. Yeah. Okay. Definitely Valorous Stance. Lobster is probably how we lock up the game. So if we Valorous Stance the Townraiser Tyrant, Vanishing Verse, the Regent, then we're still not dead to them powering up the Den. We are still dead. We're dead to a Haster, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. We only have so many pieces of removal. Yeah, okay. Actually, we can double 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't triple spell. We don't have enough to Vanishing Verse and Valorous stance. Alright, so we'll start with this. I probably should have played the Dwari Disruption tapped. It's a small mistake. Let's see what they do. We've been burning a bunch of clock on this, but I think if we untap, we're probably pretty safe. So this is the turn the game comes down to, and I'm not sure we can live. If they have a hasty dragon, then we're probably dead. The tanking suggests that they don't. I'll let them attack first. So that they can't power up the Den of the Bugbear in response. Cute. It comes in tapped because it was Divine Purged, so they can't even use it. And the Whelp. Sure. Okay. So 7, 8, 9. I don't know if this comes in tapped or not. I think we were on the play. I guess if that's the case, we might as well do this. Okay, we do get to untap it, so we have 8, 9, 10 mana, which is enough for Lobster, plus a few. Scry. Another key seems reasonable. It's better than a random draw. Okay. Townraiser Tyrant. Okay. So now I think we're down to re-kill this. And now I'm going to jam the Lobster. Nice. Okay. I think I got hairy near the end. I think I misplayed near the end, but got there in the end. Okay, so Dargans. In come the Infernal Grasps, in come the Strokes, and out come the Divine Purges. Seems pretty good. This hand's pretty bad. But we do have consider to try to find the land that we need. We do need black. And we're on the draw. I think we'll keep this on the draw. Whoa. Didn't expect that. That's aggressive. So this is like... Whoa. This is mono red. We'll do this now in case we hit a tap land. Wow, okay. This is not what we were expecting at all, and we are about to get run over. Hmm. I think we're dividing Chandra. And getting to sciences. Oh my god. This is brutal. What a curve. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty dead here. Even Divine Purge doesn't do it. Oh, actually it does. Divine Purge takes away haste. Not literally, but they come in with, they come in tapped. Yeah, that was a that was a pretty obscene hand against our Dirtle deck. Okay. We're dead. Yep, we're dead. I'll just scoop this up. There's no way that they're gonna. There's no way that they would play around open mana in such a way that it keeps us alive. Okay, so that makes me much more interested in Sunset Revelry, and it makes me much less interested in Teferi and Divide by Zero. I think I'm kind of interested in this instead. Yeah, it looks like they have like a transformational sideboard. Okay, we'll try this. But we'll put this on white. We want to be able to Divine Purge if we draw it. We're two cards away from being able to do that, of course, but and the whelp comes back in. Okay. I mean, approach might be difficult for him to deal with. Bolt doesn't really hit a lot. Like their dragons are 4 toughness. Uh, I'll take approach. We're 1 turn away from being able to Leer, hold up, divide by 0, but we do have just go, like, and flash in lobster. Having drawn Consider, that makes me much more interested in slamming the lobster. We can also Leer, but we don't have divide by 0 available with that. Okay. I think I like getting the lobster down. Gives us a lot more options once we put Leer in play the following turn. And if they attack out, then we'll get to attack Chandra as well. And approach is going to get us 7 life as well. So the situation's not as bad as it looks. Infernal Grasp is excellent. Bounce the one that we're not targeting. Take 1. Attack Chandra, and now we have Consider. And I don't think I want to play Leer. I think I do want to just consider their play, get Leer down the following turn, have a bunch of interaction up for the rest of the game. Whelps are not as good against their hasty stuff. So this costs 3, so if I bounce it now, they'll get to replay it. Yeah, I'll take that. Now we have 3 mana available. So we double consider, and I think we just win the game. Oh, oh shit. Oh, that was close. I almost double misclicked there. But yeah, thank God they scooped. That would have been embarrassing. I think we still win, but yeah, almost bounced Lear to my own hand. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, on the play. This hand is unkeepable, unfortunately. This is also pretty bad, but we have Consider. I think I will keep this and put back Lear. And I'm just going to play the Disruption tapped on one, I think. I don't want to play this on blue, and I want to have Consider available next turn. Because hitting our land drops is imperative. Alright, so we're on some sort of mirror. Some sort of control mirror. I'll play this on black, but truth be told, like, the only black card in the deck is Vanishing Verse, and it doesn't really do all that much against them. I guess if they have Lobster. I think I just want to get the tap land out of the way, and I'm going to put it on... I guess I'll put it on white. Opponent also has a tough land decision on turn 2. Esper again. Alright. We will definitely keep that. Yeah, so if we hadn't drawn that Divide by Zero, I think I would have slammed the key. I may yet. No, I think we'll hold on. Not give them an opportunity to use their mana here. Another Divide by Zero. Alright, it sucks to miss our land drop here. We are falling behind. I think we just say go. If we don't draw land off the top, I think our hand is going to be kind of forced. Ugh. Playing that tapped kind of suggests they have another one, right? And they tanked for so long about what land to play on turn 2. Gonna try it. It's not gonna resolve. We just hope that we don't get punished too badly. Yeah, they do have another. That's probably the worst case scenario. But when we're land constrained, that card is always going to be good against us. We have to get rid of it somehow, and they get to discover the formula, which we do not run in our deck. Jesus, come on. Yeah, this game does not seem like it's ours. It doesn't seem like there was any sequence that could have gotten us there, because I think if we had jammed the key early on turn 4, then they would have had the Dry Disruption for that. Okay, sure. So this was not really a game of Magic, unfortunately. Exile Doomscar. I mean, they're going to have to go to discard if they don't do something. There's land. Much too little too late, unfortunately. Um, yeah, there's no way we win this by being aggressive here. Our proactive plan just isn't good enough, so I think we need them to be a little overzealous and play into our divides. Mm. I mean, now I think we have to. All right. At least this plays a Dry Disruption for whatever that's worth, but we haven't seen a single divide by 0 out of them. They've drawn a ton of cards. If this gets divided, I think I will just scoop, because we are kind of running out of time to complete all the matches in the day if we go for the full 8 wins. It's about 1:30 p.m. here, and it closes. The event is done at 5, and this is only match 3. Okay. So, not a great match, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's why we're playing best of 3. And we do have quite a bit of technology to help deal with this matchup in particular. So we'll do the same sideboard plan that we did previously. Okay, on the play with a significantly better hand. I'll keep this, and I think I am just going to jam the Duress on one. Yeah. Double go blank to fairy, behold. So those go blanks are going to be pretty good against us. It's probably behold. I mean, at least we have divide by 0 for a turn 3 go blank. We have our own go blank as well. All right, we'll take behold. It's one of those cards that can be foretold to tuck away from our discard spell, so it's pretty good in the matchup. Dry Disruption. That's pretty good. I definitely want to have divide by 0 available. So we can dry this. We are very sad if we don't draw land, and that happens. It's possible that next turn they'll just jam to fairy instead. I think I'm going to divide this for now. And I'm going to get sciences. It's the safest thing. Yeah. And hopefully they try to jam to fairy here instead of go blank. Okay, Duress is probably going to get us. That was a well-timed Duress. So they'll probably take Dry Disruption here, I would think. Dry Disruption, black mana, go blank. It's pretty good against our hand. And then we probably discard Lobster, and... Oh, they take Divide by 0. Interesting. Interesting. So they have Divide of their own, is what they're telling me. I would love it if I could get Teferi to resolve. If they have Divide, it doesn't much matter which one we play. If they don't, which one would I rather resolves? Teferi, right? Guess Teferi represents some card advantage. I guess if they have Twari Disruption in hand, then this is worse. Or Stroke. Stroke is that's worse. And now we're getting go blanked. And we're probably going to have to pitch. We're definitely pitching Valorous Stance. The question is, do we also pitch? Which one of the other cards do we pitch? Interesting, they're jamming Teferi here. Stroke. Okay, so we're missing land, which sucks. But if they play Key, then at least we have that. All right. So hopefully they get greedy and try to jam a Key here. Well, looks like they're going to play something big. All right. I think it's time to say sayonara to the lobster. Because I think Key to the Archive is probably coming soon. We have our own Teferi. Yeah, we'll play Teferi. Hopefully it doesn't get divided. It does, yeah. I mean, we have been outdrawn. And they're going to be able to resolve his teachings, too. I suppose we could have said go there. But the situation wasn't going to improve. Like, they have this Teferi in play, which means that they're just going to keep accumulating advantage. They pitched the teachings as well. That's pretty scary. Yeah. This one doesn't feel like we're going to get there. Hopefully they're on top deck mode. Vanishing Verse not great. Hopefully they just have Lobster. No. All right. I mean, that's just kind of dirtily. But at some point, they're going to get to the meat of their deck. There's a lot of card advantage that we just... And we're just drawing lands. Like, now you feel like they've gone 6 cards deep with their Teferis. It feels like they definitely have Divide by 0, and we're probably never going to resolve another spell this game. This is pretty scary, too. I guess it's possible that I guess it's possible that they're jamming Lear. They have divide by 0. Yeah, okay, but at least we get to do this. They can divide it, but then we get to recast it. Yeah, they divide their own Lear, which makes a lot of sense. Wow, that was going to be a lot of land in a row, too. So this one was not meant to be. We just ran out of ammunition. Yeah, and once they jam this Lear again and they have discovered the formula, yeah, I'm fine scooping this up. I don't see any path to victory here, so okay. On to the next one. Good game. Ooh, I think this is Corey Belmeister. Um, he won one of the recent SCG invitationals, if I'm not mistaken. So this could be a good match. I should probably look him up on Twitter. He probably posted what he's playing. But I would guess he's playing some flavor of Control. We'll keep this. Yeah, sure looks like it. Is it? Let's get this out of the way. We'll bluff having Jori Disruption. Okay. Not really interested in jamming Teferi into a divide by 0. So we will try to Memory Deluge on their end step. Choosing to scry. Okay. So this is going to get divided, but if it does, then we get to jam Teferi. Oh, okay. So against Izzet, are we scared of anything on turn 5? It's not dragons. This is clearly some flavor of Izzet control. I'm just going to jam Teferi here. And go for value. Do I want another Teferi or do I want a land? I think I want a land. Sure. Yeah, so this is not anything we would have fought over, so I'm happy with the decision to play Teferi so far. Let me say go. So we have 7 mana available with Teferi if we want. Lear seems like divide food. Yeah, alright. This is not like the most inspiring turn, but actually maybe what I'm supposed to do there is tap one of their lands to force them into whatever play they're going to make. And then whatever I fetch off the learn, like I'll divide it, and then whatever I fetch off the learn, I'll be able to play this turn. Like teachings. Yeah, that would have been a much better play, I think. So now we have 8 mana. Probably better was to Memory Deluge flashback on their end step, come to think of it. Yeah, that was much better. So both Lear and Teferi are getting divided here. Pretty big setback. Yeah, it would have been much better to just flashback the Deluge on their end step. And now what do we do? Lear getting bounced back to our hand is kind of whatever. I think I'm down to keep Teferi around. This has the benefit of not giving them back the divide. Yeah, I think we're probably at the point where teachings is good. I definitely think I chose the worst possible line that hand or that turn. Now we are in a rough spot. I think I got too aggressive. I wanted to press my advantage with Teferi and use the mana advantage, but it did play right into that line. That said, I do think the matchup is bad. I think that what I discovered yesterday was that the Izzet decks are kind of better than the Esper decks as constructed because the Galvanic iterations are so good. And we don't really have a great answer in the main deck. The Go Blanks that we bring in will eventually be good, but not yet. Key to the Archive is going to be tough to beat. They land the first key. If we draw our own key off the top, then things are all of a sudden looking okay. Bins in a braid. That's not good. Yeah, that was a pretty good turn. How many cards is that in hand for him? It is 6. So we can teachings first. We can also just Lear divide by 0. Seven. 8. 9 mana. I feel like this Destroyer Disruption might still yet be useful. They know we have this Leer in hand. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want the 4th untapped mana to be able to cast the Memory Deluge on their end step, but I don't think I would even if I had the option. I don't think Consider is great. I definitely feel like I'm in a whole lot of trouble here. Day of Judgment. Alright, so there's really no reason not to do this. Maybe I'm supposed to target the key. Probably not, though. I almost want to loot. I don't think Mascot Exhibition's great. Makes our teachings better. How many cards do they have in hand? We might actually get to draw the full Monty off the teachings, depending on how this goes. I think I'm going to loot away the Divine Purge. Okay. So we can either teachings here, or we can try to beat down with the Hall. That may be tough for them to deal with, although realistically they're going to be able to pay the ward cost. I think I want a teachings and maybe start beating them down with the Hall the next turn. Like, wow, this can't be countered. Yeah. Yeah, they haven't cast Discover the Formula. Sure. Oh, shit. Oops. Damn. Okay, I should have disrupted that. That's pretty bad. It didn't even occur to me that that was going to put him low enough on cards in hand that we didn't need to. That's brutal. Okay. Now I'm going to start beating down, I think. There's not that many things in this deck that can kill a 7/7. Yikes. Yeah, I really have no one to blame but myself in this game one. We're going to try to get there with the Hall, but with this level of card advantage and discount, I'm not sure we can do it. Damn, that sucks. I totally punted this game away. If that, like, teachings had resolved, we'd be 2 cards deeper. And I could have just cast Disruption on that Spike Field Hazard to just draw the 2. And they get to Time Warp. Oh, boy. And if they have their own Leer... Okay, that's going to do it. There's no way we get in now. I'll scoop this up. Okay. Like I said, I think the matchup is bad, but I think that I badly misplayed it. But now we get to do this sideboarding again. We have faced like almost all control today. It does seem to be what's best in the format by quite a bit. Okay, back against the wall. We lose this, we're done. Yeah, if I had to do over again, I think I would probably play an Is It list. I'll probably play this, the deck that Corey's playing sometime this week to get ready for the Degen tournament, which is next weekend. This hand is awful. Like, truly terrible. Like, really bad. Can we keep this? Like, hitting your land drops is important in these control mirrors. Mulliganing on the play puts us at like a significant card disadvantage right off the bat. We do have Disdainful Stroke to deal with their turn 4 play. We probably won't get run over. I'll keep, but I'm not happy about it. The Disdainful Stroke is going to need to carry a lot of water. Yikes. That is a lot of land off the top. Still think the keep is okay, but so now all of a sudden we have a bit of a game plan, right? We have Disdainful Stroke to keep them off the board, and then we'll jam Hullbreaker Horror. We do have all the lands that we need. There's probably a world where this Dwari Disruption gets played. I may want to play that on black. There's like a future where I maybe want to play multiple Vanishing Verses in a turn, like with a Hullbreaker Horror in play. I think we'll play this. It'll get divided, but we need to make some progress. And if they don't have divide by some minor miracle, then this could just win the game. Okay. Commence Operation Rock Lobster. Whoa. So their hand is full of counters. Now what? We can Teferi plus. which will leave us with enough mana to Jwari Disruption and Disdainful Stroke. Now they don't have the mana to block with the Hall. Kind of wild that we might actually get there through all these cards that they managed to draw. Pitches, Galvanic Iteration. So we can... I don't think we can get there. I don't think there's a realistic chance of getting there for lethal by powering up the Hall and untapping a land with Teferi and only having one spell. I think the plan here is just going to be to keep them off the board for one more turn. I'm not even going to play the key. Okay, we'll see what they do. So now we have a... I was perfectly willing to fracture my own Teferi to act as a bounce spell, but now we even have a better target. They do not have enough mana to activate Hall. Nice. Okay. That was a tough one. Lobster showing its strength. I mean, look at all the counter magic that he had for this mirror match. If we didn't have the Lobster, then nothing would have ever resolved for the rest of the game. Okay. Still still back against the wall, but at least we took a game off of him. Okay. This is not so bad. We'll keep this. And I think I am down for the turn 1 duress here, right? We could turn 2 duress. If we draw Jwari Disruption exactly, we feel bad. And the advantage of turn 2 duress, obviously, is that it gives them one more chance to... No, like, I don't want to give them the opportunity to test of talents my duress. So I think we do this on 1. Galvanic Iteration, Divide, Discover, Stroke, Disruption. What did they name? Blue. So we can't really take them off of blue mana by taking the Disruption. Discover the Formula is the most powerful card, but we do have the answer for it in Disdainful Stroke. Divide by 0 is probably the most annoying one, and they may be forced to play the Jwari Disruption as a land. Galvanic Iteration plus Discover the Formula could be annoying. I'm going to take Divide. Yeah, and they do play it tapped. It's a lot worse now that I know about it. And we draw our Lobster, who was our all-star last game. Key's pretty good. And now we're kind of happy just drawing lands until turn 7. This is like an interesting point, right? Like, we could try to jam the key now, they stroke it, and then they don't have the follow-up of Discover the Formula next turn. The question is, do they have like another proactive play that they can make? I kind of like jamming Teferi here and trading it for the stroke. Okay. Because every turn from now on, tapping out is going to be punished by Discover the Formula. So making that trade now, I think, is advantageous for us. We do have Consider, which will play well with the Horror, but we may end up just needing to cast it to find land. Again, now we can't tap out. Ooh, Duress is pretty good. Yeah, we'll take that. And now the question is, do we want to divide or do we want to stroke? I think I want to stroke. Because divide will be a hard counter against anything that gets copied with Galvanic Iteration, and it also answers... It also lets me bounce my own stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll discard Galvanic Iteration. It makes it vulnerable to go blank if we draw it off the top. That's a pretty good top deck. Yeah, that's an elite top deck for sure. Scries to the top. Okay. Um, we can key. They scry to top. I think we need to hold up divide. And if the top deck is discover the formula, then we can double divide that with the galvanic iteration. Consider. All right, we'll try to hit our land drop this turn. We already have more than enough black. Down to just start jamming lobsters, I think. Yeah, this card is so good. Like, seeing my opponent cast these expressive iterations makes me very, very jealous. But if we manage to stick this Hullbreaker Horror, we have a good chunk of interaction in our hand for the rest of the game. So, like, they can cast their Discover the Formula here if they want. Yeah, sure. Divide by 0. That's probably the worst case scenario for us. Take teachings. We have another divide. I think we just try to exhaust their counter magic options. If they make a proactive play, then we'll divide it by 0. If they don't, then we'll jam the horror. Like, we have the inevitability here. Okay. Getting to this point makes me regret punting game 1 away. Okay, so at this point we have 4 more cards than them. We can jam the lobster. They only draw 2. Okay. If they have another divide by 0, then okay. We have to get through it eventually. Yep, draw 3. Must be nice. No, I think I'm going to jam the key. Just get more mana. Like, we are very far behind on mana now. Literal counterspell's pretty nice. Shields are down, so Galvanic Iteration onto something, onto Discover the Formula, is probably live. But they do need to be a little careful of tapping low, because if the Hullbreaker resolves, then they could find themselves in serious trouble. Yep. They're going to copy Mascot Exhibition? No, they're going to copy Discover the Formula. He's been pretty. I think he's played pretty well this second game or this third game. How many divides have we seen? One, two, three. Not many left. The lobster cometh. So we'd be pretty thrilled, I think, if we just drew nothing but land for the rest of the game at this point. Taps out for key. Okay, so they did resolve Discover the Formula, so divide by 0 is still live here. All right, okay. So Teachings doesn't do anything right now. Go blank could be irritating for them. Let's try to hit our land drops, I think. Like, they're going to have Mascot Exhibition to block the horror. I guess we can bounce those tokens. I think we just need to hit land drops. I don't think waiting around with Lobster is going to get the job done. I think I'm just going to exile the Teachings. I'm not sure it'll ever be relevant. I feel like I need more practice in this matchup. I feel like I'm kind of just winging it. All right, so they held Mascot Exhibition. There's still one divide by 0 left in the deck, possibly multiply discounted. Another key. Am I interested in counterspell the key? I don't think so. It doesn't achieve much, I don't think. Like, I'd rather have the counterspell available for when the lobster's in play. So, like, ideally we can play... We draw untapped land, we can play lobster, hold up counterspell. Hopefully he just discards, like, Growth Spiral or something. But we have been severely outmanaged. Okay, discarded Mascot Exhibition. Tutor. Yeah, that's pretty good. Could fetch his own lobster. What would you fetch in this spot? Another Discover the Formula? Lear. Well, that kind of forces our hand. And Test of Talents. Yeah, that's going to do it, right? Well, maybe not, actually. Because he's tapped low. We're going to get to bounce that Lear. There's no divide by 0 in the graveyard, thankfully, because we managed to resolve that go blank. Another Demonic Tutor from hand. Okay. And this time with full knowledge of what's in our hand as well. And now we don't have the option of Hullbreaker Horror hold up counterspell anymore. We do have that. What are our options here? We can key divide by 0 the Leer. Then Leer comes back down next turn and casts Mascot Exhibition. That's not so bad. I think I'm fine getting the key down here. Let's probably consider. No, we need that with the Hullbreaker Horror, I think. I think that's actually the tutor that we're discarding because I really want this land drop in play. And I'm just going to do this now, I think. And probably cheap spells with the horror is what we want. Okay, Lear comes back. He and I are both so low on time. This card has just been dummying us, like the Galvanic iterations and the Expressive iterations. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Yep, I don't think there's any way to win. 20 cards in library is way too many for us to even consider decking them. And there's still one divide by 0 at large in the deck. They have 4 mana and a bunch, so there's no reason to jam the Hullbreaker Horror this turn. We have 9, 10, 11. Maybe 10 we'll have. Yeah, there is a difference, right? If we Hullbreaker Horror, then we have Divide by 0 and Consider available if we don't play the Environmental Sciences. That is probably how we're going to have to try to win this game. The amount of mana he has is just absurd. What is this? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 21 mana. And that's to say nothing of the Discover the Formula. Discount. All right. Divide by 0 the lobster, yeah. So if we divide by 0, they're divide by 0, then they just recast it. Yeah, I think this is still kind of forced. They just have all the mana and cards. Okay. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe this opens me up to, like, some random counter spell that they have in their hand. And that's really good. And it's still going to let them replay Lear. Yeah, that's rough. The Braid has been kicking my ass all weekend, too. Like, the two Expressive Iteration, Galvanic Iteration, and a Braid, I think, are the major advantages it has in the mirror, in the control mirror. I do think Esper is better against creatures, but maybe that means this wasn't a great choice for day 2. They have 4 mana. Yeah, it's hard to imagine winning this from here. But we'll try. We're done if this ends, so... We're done if we lose. They still have Divide by 0 in hand. Yeah? Okay. Are we dead on board? 4, 7, 9, 16 with the Hall of the Storm Giants. What's in the graveyard? I think we're dead. Yeah, we are dead. Now that I've made this play. Because this gets bounced. Lear resolves. And if we kill Lear with Vanishing Verse, then I guess we're not quite dead. We go to 1. And we'll, I think, Vanishing Verse Lear in combat. No, it doesn't matter. They have Divide by 0. A discounted Divide by 0, no less. I think we have to try. They can Divide by 0 with their own Lear as well. Yeah, that works too. All right. Don't think there's anything we can draw now. Yeah, tough one. I think I will probably... I'll take one more draw step, but I will scoop. And let him try to finish his run. I guess we... Now that they're tapped low, no, they have Divide by 0 in the graveyard. There's really nothing we can do. I don't... Like, we had the option early in this game to play the Hullbreaker Horror and just start swinging. And once the... Like, eventually this game got out of hand when they drew draw spell after draw spell after draw spell and killed us with card advantage. Yeah. All right. Tough one. Okay, so 2 and 2 in day 2. Not the best result, but I will take it. Leave me some feedback in the video below. Let me know if you like these kinds of events. I am happy to keep doing them as they keep coming up. And if you have feedback in general for the channel, I'd love to hear that too. All right, I will see you guys in the next one. Later.